Welcome back to Dealer Reinsurance Secrets, where today we're going to get behind the lines with reinsurance. I'm Sean Wida, here with my co-host, Al Salas. Welcome back, Al.
Thank you, Sean.
Today we're going to get deep on reinsurance structures, different types, the way they're used, and what the benefits are to each. And I'd like to have your perspective and opinion on a few of them. We'll start talking about walkaway, retro, CFC, NCFC, and the one that's crushing the market right now is the DOWC.
Really, one of the things that when I think about reinsurance structure, Sean, as a dealer, and I'm talking about like if I had to do it all over again, before I understood everything that I know of the agency world and then transitioning to a dealer, I would really consider very strongly my long-term goals versus my short-term goals when it comes to choosing a structure between the ones that you talked about. If I had some cash flow priorities, I will look at a certain structure versus having some long-term priorities of my investment portfolio as well as growing my wealth. So it all depends on what would be my goals. In really what kind of stage I was in my growth. Where I'm at right now, I would say that there are some priorities that we need to handle that reinsurance can help us and has helped us quite a lot. So I'm glad that we're talking about this because I think a lot of dealers out there need to hear about this information.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's something that's not talked about often and something that deserves to have some light shed on it. So I want to start with walkaway. What kind of dealers do you find fit best in a walkaway program?
So a walkaway program is to define it is a warranty or gap or tire and wheel or F&I product that you have in your dealership where you sell from cost up. You get it for a certain cost, just like a part. You get it for, let's say you get a contract, you rate it, it's $1,000 on a 2018 Ford F-150. And you rate it for $1,000 and then you customer for $1,995, making a $995 profit. That is your insurance cost versus your retail. And the difference is what you're going to make a profit. That's a walk away. And then you walk away from the risk of everything behind that $1,000 expense or not having any reinsurance. That I would say would fit best for somebody that really doesn't want to participate in any risk or profit or upside really. But they're talking about a portfolio of vehicles that they're selling that may be high risk. We see that a lot with our high mileage products. When we sell a vehicle with high mileage, that's not something that we might necessarily want to take the risk on. So we might put that on our walk away. Or somebody that's just starting out that really doesn't know where their business is going and it's a very fresh, it's might be a good way to just get some traction and get some additional income from F&I without having to worry too much about taxation, structure, accounting, and those sort of things that where reinsurance starts to get a little bit more complex. And so walkaway might be a good fit there as a deal.
Also, I'm glad you talked about the taxation and the investment because, that brings us really right into the retro program where you have the ability to benefit from the upside without having to really take any risks or pay premium taxes on it. How do you feel about the retro?
Well, retro, I think it's honestly for the person that we just described that doesn't want to take risk or is just starting out. That's really the best program to start out when it comes to reinsurance. I understand that a lot of dealers don't know that retro is even a thing or it even exists, and partly is because of, quite frankly, the insurance companies benefit from that. The less you know as a dealer, the more profit they make. And that is something that's really interesting, because as a retro, what retro means is that $1,000 cost that we just talked about, without any risk or repercussions back to you as a dealer, you can get to participate on the underwriting profits of that $1,000 on the insurance side. What that means is that if you sold that $1,000 on that F-150 and of cost for a warranty in F&I, you that difference of $1,000, let's say that the customer only put $700 worth of claims, there's a $300 profit on that insurance premium, and you as a dealer can participate on that profit. On a retro program, without any risk, up to 100% of that underwriting profit, depending on your volume in your dealership. And some of those retro programs even allow you to participate on the income that generates on the investment side, albeit it's a much lesser amount with that if you did the whole risk portfolio on a reinsurance CFC or DWC, but nonetheless, you still get a lot of the benefit with very, very little downside or risk.
That is all true. Now, talking about the investment income and being allowed to participate in it, it really drives us into that next setup, which is the most common setup that's out there, is the CFC, traditional CFC, controlled foreign corporation. Now, there is benefit to the upside, but there is risk. When evaluating what you did to build your dealership and set up your structure, how did you determine how much risk you wanted to take?
That's a great question, actually. So it's an interesting question, because there's a lot of things that you got to weigh into in that. When I was looking at my dealership and what structures I wanted to set up in my store, it's important to know that for dealers to know that they don't have to take on one particular structure. They can do a hybrid model based on what their needs are and what their portfolio of sales is. So when I first became a dealer, I had a vision of where I thought my business should be, and I set up a structure that I thought would fit, and that was the DWC, because it's the most profitable structure. But as I got going in the types of vehicles that we ended up selling, it turned out that a CFC might be a better fit for us, because, again, it's all about the risk versus the responsibility and the reward. Most importantly, the ease of getting into market. So a CFC, controlled foreign corporation, allows you to participate in all the insurance profits as well as the investment income. So that means that $1,000 then gets put into your account from that F-150 warranty sales. It gets deducted a fee or admin fee that a lot of dealers need to be careful about, because it's comprised of multiple parts, but I'm sure you'll get into that. But more importantly, you have to make sure that the structure and the fees align. Anyways, once you ensure that aligns, right, you're in the right structure, that difference, let's just say that was $250 that was taken out as a fee. Then that $750 gets put into an account and invested until there's claims put into that in the contract, or the contract expires. Once that contract expires, whatever is left over, plus the investment income on that amount, is returned back to the dealer, and most of it, depending on the structure, is tax deferred, because you are also able to outweigh some of the taxes with claims, as well as other losses that are in your portfolio when it comes to claims and cancellations. But there's a lot of tax benefits when it comes to a CFC, particularly that when that money does come back, you don't get that money as income, you get it at a rate of capital investment. So you'll be saving a lot of money in taxes, about half in taxes. And that's if you just stay with the CFC, not even going into the DWC territory.
So that works well, moving right into the next two, which I'd like to talk about kind of combined, the NCFC and the DOWC, being that, that cliche term, the same but different. Part of the reason why the DOWC came about was to have similar benefits that the NCFC have, but open up on some of the downfalls of the NCFC, like having to have a board that makes the decisions, only take money out or be able to access your money once a year, again, with board approval, better tax benefits when you hit a certain point. But that's where the DOWC comes in, where it gives you those tax benefits, but you don't have to worry about a board or getting approved to have that money come out. How do you feel about the NCFC versus the DOWC?
I feel that NCFCs are getting a little bit obsolete, especially with some taxation and changes that happened within the IRS just this year in 2023. So a lot of old NCFC and big dealers that were in an NCFC were actually transitioning to a DOWC model for those tax purposes. So from that perspective, I don't want to spend too much time in an NCFC because there really is not much value to dealers today when it comes to their portfolio. There's a lot of exposure when it comes to an NCFC, and if a dealer really is in an NCFC, they probably should be reaching out to somebody like you that can help them transition away from that, because really a DOWC is the most robust way for a dealer to participate in reinsurance, especially if you're doing the volume. Now, there's some volume requirements. There's some things that you definitely need to consider. You got to consider if you do have a current CFC, you're going to speak to your accountant, speak to your agent. But particularly, the benefits of the DOWC is, first of all, tax deferral. You're able to defer taxes for a long period of time based on the fact that all the revenue is is recognized as retail revenue because it's your own warranty company. You're actually being the warranty company, and you still remove the liability with having a contractual liability insurance policy or CLIP. You're removing that liability off of yourself as a dealer and putting it back onto an insurance company, but you gain all the benefits. You gain control over the claims, you gain control over the coverage, you gain control over, even to an extent, the premiums that are held plus or minus. You can actually your strategy of your dealership as the economic change, as the economy changes, meaning that if your dealership is becoming more profitable, you can hold more on reinsurance and be able to defer some of that in taxes. And then the other piece would be if the economy then takes a dive, you can readjust and fade back on those premiums and be able to retain some of that as dealer income right to you without ever hitting your store. So you don't have to pay commissions and you don't have to basically raise any flags of raising premiums. You can just do that all behind the lines, like you say.
Exactly. I'm glad we were able to take the time to discover a little bit more information about these reinsurance structures today, Al. As we get further into it, further down the road, I'm going to try to figure out more of what the parameters are really and who fits best in what, so we can discuss that and see how it all breaks down, give people an idea. And hey, was I put in the wrong position? And is somebody just trying to get that best of me? Like you said, the less the dealer knows, the more the insurance company makes. So that's all we have time for today. Appreciate your time and appreciate you tuning in for Dealer Reinsurance Secrets. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Sean. Take care.